How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be talking about Nightmare Man. Nightmare Man from 2008, and this is part of the second After Dark Horrorfest. This is directed by Rolfe Kanefsky, and if you guys recognize that name, he's actually directed a lot of horror movies, usually on the funner, cheesier side. For example, I have two of his other movies, Jekyll and Hyde, which is like a female take on the Jekyll and Hyde story, and I also have There's Nothing Out There. There's Nothing Out There, I have the Image Entertainment release of this movie. However, I think Troma distributes that movie a lot, so a Troma director. Also, one of the characters in this movie does wear a There's Nothing Out There shirt, so yeah, definite little Easter egg there. Anyway, this movie stars Tiffany Shepis, Blythe Metz, and Luciano Szafir, sorry if I mispronounced any of those names, and this is about a woman that encounters a mysterious devil mask and then feels that the spirit tied to the mask has attached itself to her. The husband doesn't believe her and is going to send her to an asylum. However, their car runs out of gas in the middle of the woods, and when he goes to get more gas, the spirit of course shows up and chases her into the woods and on a collision course with a bunch of partying college students. And at first, these other characters aren't going to believe her. However, when people start dying, it's going to be a little hard to explain. You can't just say she's crazy when people start getting picked off. Now, overall, first and foremost, I guess I should say, this is a good bit of slasher junk food, you know? It's not the biggest and the best thing ever, but if you do want a fun, low-budget slasher movie, there is a fair bit to like here. Again, on the cheesier side, but it's not the biggest and the best thing ever. And yeah, this movie will probably work out best for the people that are just looking for a bit of slasher junk food. I do appreciate the other elements they tried to put in here. Not all of them worked, and not all of them got played up as well as they could, but there is a few other elements they stuck in this movie that they tried to make it a little bigger and a little better with. For example, the supernatural element. The whole time we're wondering, is it in her head? Is it real? If it's not supernatural, then what's going on here? So there is a bit of a mystery with a possible supernatural spirit element to it, and I did like that. That was different. However, it doesn't come up for most of the movie. It's the introduction, it sets the thing up, but then it's not until the very end that this question's addressed, in any significant way. And for the most part, throughout the middle of this movie, I'm like, this is a fun slasher movie. Why did they introduce a possible supernatural element? Then they get to the end, and the end I thought was a lot funner. I thought it really did step things up. There was more energy, and it tied everything together. But yeah, it doesn't really come up in any significant way till the end of the movie, you know? There's also a few good shots in this movie, you know? There's one where, like, she's at the window and it pulls out really far and you see just how big the woods are. There's other shots where there's, like, multiple things going on in a room and the camera's panning around between all the characters. There is some shots, there is some effort. Sadly, there's also quite a few scenes that don't track super well, and that could be any number of things. That could be shot choice, that could be editing, but that could also be lighting. Lighting in this movie, it's pretty dark, and when you get a character that's wearing a long sleeve black shirt, that's your killer there, he does tend to blend into the background, so yeah, a lot of stuff in this movie does get lost in shadows, and let's talk about that killer design. The killer wears a tribal African mask. Okay, that's pretty interesting. What do you expect the rest of his ensemble to be like? I'd expect if he has a tribal mask, he should have a matching outfit and, you know, maybe his weapons will be in a similar motif. Not really the case. He's got a fancy mask, but then his shirt is just a black shirt, and his pants are just black pants. I mean, tactical camouflage, I guess, but it doesn't really fit the theme that they set up with this character. And yeah, he's just kind of a normal slasher guy. You know, so that was a little disappointing that they didn't build on that there. There's also a few jokes in the movie, and they try to give the character some personality, which I definitely appreciate. Again, it doesn't go super far or become super big, but you do get things like a character's tied up and the other character says, "Hey, don't go anywhere," or you get a character with a gun. "Do you know how to use that?" "Sure, I saw it in the movies." So there is some humor there, and I can definitely appreciate the humor. But yeah, not the biggest and best thing ever, but it does grant a little more life to the story. But the biggest thing I want to talk about is this movie is first and foremost a slasher movie, and the kills are just okay. There is some effort with special effects, and there is a fair bit of blood, so I do appreciate that. But none of the kills are super, super memorable. The killer has a knife and a crossbow, and it's like, yeah, that person got stabbed, that person got an arrow. It's okay kills, it's just not super memorable. The most memorable kill is one character as a joke gets shot several times with arrows, and that was okay, but I really expected something more creative, and they are bloody and there is some special effects, like you see someone get stabbed and they do a pretty good effort on that, but yeah, they're just not super memorable kills in this movie, and you do a slasher movie, you have to have some creativity there, and it's just kind of okay. So yeah, this movie works best as slasher junk food. There is a few new ideas. The idea with the mask, is it supernatural? And then it does lead to a fun ending, and then you get, you know, is she crazy? And then you get the characters having some humor, and there is some fun shots. Overall, though, a lot of their efforts are just okay, and it doesn't pan out as big as I would have hoped. So yeah, slasher junk food, but it's still fine. Without further ado, let's go ahead and analyze the plot a little bit. I'm not going to be doing any major spoilers, but let's talk about it in more detail. So we open up with this young couple trying for a baby, no luck yet. So the wife orders an African fertility mask. It comes in, she opens it up, and it's got horns and sharp teeth, and she goes, whoa, 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 this can't be the right mask. There's been some sort of mistake. She goes off to take a shower. She comes back out, and of course her husband is missing, and she starts to hear stuff around the house. And how many, you know, short horror films on YouTube have you seen where it's woman wandering around abandoned house, all leading to one jump scare? Yeah, kind of a standard opening. Eventually the mask does pop out, but this time attached to a full figure. It jumps out to get her, and she wakes up in a van. And we find that some version of these events did happen in real life, but she's been reliving them every day as a nightmare, hence the title Nightmare Man. However, why this is the title of the movie, and that's where he gets his name, we only see one of her nightmares. You know, I know people complain about the dream trope in horror movies, but when your movie's called Nightmare Man, I would expect a bunch of nightmares, but it's really more referenced that she's having these recurring dreams than that they really make any impression on you, so whatever. But anyway, she believes the spirit has attached itself to her, and she feels very strongly about this, and the husband is sending her off to an asylum, and she's, you know, taking pills to kind of suppress it, but very, very scared, and her life isn't going great. The car, of course, runs out of gas, and the husband happens to reveal that in the back trunk he did bring the mask as sort of a therapy object. The therapist suggested it. She gets mad and throws it into the woods, and he leaves to go get gas. Now, also on top of all this, her phone ran out of battery, car running out of gas, phone running out of battery. Later on, we'll find out the police are like an hour and a half away. It's a pretty tropey movie, well, I'll give it that. Anyway, the husband's gone for the gas. She is in the car, and of course, the man with the mask on comes out of the woods and tries to kill her, and there's a prolonged chase scene inside the car. Yeah, it does go on for quite a bit, This is a low-budget horror movie. Whenever you do a set, you try to get the most out of it, so prolonged car chase scene, and she runs into the woods. In the woods, there's a cabin full of young college-age people, and they're partying. In this group of people, you get the looser party girl who's, up for anything and really just, ready to make a joke and stuff. And then you get her best friend, and her best friend have a secret they're trying to keep away from their boyfriends. And overall, this plot is referenced several times. The secret goes nowhere. Anyway, so the two of them and their two boyfriends, and the two boyfriends don't have much going on. But anyway, they're there, and you get this scene where they superimpose the people playing Truth or Dare and the girl running through the forest, and it's another case of I get where they're going with this, and I appreciate the effort. It's not as good as it could have come out, and I don't really know why. But anyway, she eventually gets to them. They at first don't know what to make of her story. They don't believe it's a spirit, but maybe there's a madman in the woods that found the mask or something. They don't know. But they call the husband, because the wife knows the husband's phone number. They use their phone, and he goes, well, I'm sorry about this. I'm coming to get my wife, but don't believe her. She's just crazy. Or is she? Eventually, of course, the killer will show up. The killer will start picking them off one by one, and it's evident that something's going on, but what is going on? Is there a real spirit? Is it a madman? What exactly's up here? And it's not addressed till much later, but when it is addressed, it is pretty fun. And yeah, the third act is more crazy and over the top, and I did like that. Again, not enough to really save the movie, but a definite step up in that direction, and it's cheesier, and I like it much better. Now, like I said, this is an okay movie for slasher junk food. I do like the different things that they tried to do here. I do like the is it in her head element. I do like the can we trust her. I do like the characters have humor, and there is some effort in those shots there. So there's a lot to like here, and a lot that they try to do. However, a lot of what they try to do winds up just being okay, and I really would appreciate it if it was something just, just a little bit better. There's not really, there's not really the kills that you want. It's a little slow. It's a defend the base movie. They're all in a house, but they don't really work on that. When you do, the people are in the house and the bad guys are outside, you really want to be a little more analytical. You want to make it more survival. You want to say, okay, let's board up the windows. Let's try to figure out where the killer is. Where are our people? Where are they? How are we going to be safe? Should we go up to the second story? But even though this is a defend the base style story, it really doesn't play into that as much as it could, and that really could have made it way more interesting if you put in more of a survival element. But overall, like I said, this is okay, and if you want slasher junk food with a little bit of a twist, it's fun. It's just not the best thing ever, but I appreciated where it was trying to go, and I appreciated the new elements, and I could see the effort, and it was fun. It's just not the best thing ever, but if that sounds good to you, I would recommend it. Again, more the slasher geeks than anyone else. But anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my slasher movies playlist, and you can find a bunch of stuff in there. I've talked about classic slashers, proto-slashers, even all the way up to modern slashers, like I just talked about X kind of recently. That one was pretty fun. So if you want to see me talk about more slashers, that playlist will be there. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Slashers playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.